A lot of people think because Deontay Wilder lost to Tyson Fury that it's over for Deontay Wilder. He should just go ahead and retire. His career is finished. Well, little do people know, it actually has done the opposite. Deontay Wilder now has more credibility behind his name than he's ever had. Standing up to Tyson Fury like he did has won over some hardened people who were very critical of Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder, like Anthony Joshua, has now transcended his belt. See, Anthony Joshua doesn't necessarily need to have all those belts to still pull the numbers and attention that he gets. It's Anthony Joshua. It's not the belts. And like Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder has just entered this same realm. Even without the WBC strap around his waist, Deontay Wilder is still a hot commodity. Deontay Wilder is still somebody who people will tune in to watch, whether it's to fanboy for or to criticize. But what he actually did is he renewed his lease on boxing. Deontay Wilder can still bring attention, whether it's via talking about him on the internet or just a fight that he's scheduled to compete in. Either way, Deontay Wilder's stock has rose. Little do people know. So if Deontay Wilder chooses to keep pursuing boxing after this, he has a future and he does have options. Still, which hangs in the wings is Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder. And as you know, Anthony Joshua will fight Deontay Wilder, belt or no belt. See, it's not the belt with these two gentlemen at this point. It's simply their name and their fan base. Deontay Wilder's fan base is still willing to stand behind him. Just like there are people who are still willing to criticize him and talk about him, even though he has just taken two devastating losses, two back-to-back beatdowns, which raises another question. Can Deontay Wilder psychologically move on from two back-to-back losses? And they're not just any back-to-back losses, not back-to-back losses like Anthony Joshua lost to Usyk and Andy Ruiz. He was beaten up bad in both fights. Does Deontay Wilder have the mental psyche to overcome those defeats? Will he still have enough belief in himself to overcome those defeats? Being that Deontay Wilder is so easily gassed by people around him, I don't think Deontay Wilder will have no problem regaining his swagger or regain his sense of self. But as far as Xing Deontay Wilder out the picture at this point, it's almost virtually impossible if Deontay Wilder chooses to keep pursuing boxing. He now has a name that brings traffic. He has a name that honestly no boxing fan or via content creator wants to see disappear. Deontay Wilder's name brings attention, whether negative or positive. It still brings attention. Deontay Wilder has been a lot of talking points of boxing in general. His silly antics, his twerk videos, and his outrageous claim kept Deontay Wilder's name on the lips of everybody. So Deontay Wilder now has the steam behind him in which he always wanted. He now has the attention behind him in which he always envied of Anthony Joshua. Deontay Wilder can take this and turn this into something more. And being the fact that he still has that killer right hand, he's never truly out of the picture. So where does Deontay Wilder go from here? Pretty much anywhere he wants. Whether he takes a bum fight or get an elite fight, eyes will still be on Deontay Wilder just to see how he has rebounded from the Tyson Fury beatdown, just to see if he can continue to rise, even though he has taken two back-to-back losses. And losses should be nothing extreme in the heavyweight division. It's just that it's been so long since the heavyweight division has truly been king that we forgot about this. We now apply little man rules to big guy rules, and we shouldn't do that in the heavyweight division. Anything can change at any given time. With that being said, Deontay Wilder is not off the board yet. So how do we make things interesting? Where do we go from here? Do we set up Tyson Fury with Alexander Usyk just to get an undisputed? I bet you at this time, it probably seems pretty smart for Deontay Wilder to have taken a step aside money and fight the winner of Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, because it's guaranteed, because Anthony Joshua will fight him. It's no guarantee with Tyson Fury or anybody else. And I guess I could throw Usyk in the mix of somebody who would fight Deontay Wilder with no problems, just given his character. But at this point, Deontay Wilder has options to pretty much do whatever he wants. Walk away or choose to stay in the game. Either way, eyes and ears will still be on Deontay Wilder just like they are right now. So I don't think boxing, as much as people couldn't stand Deontay Wilder and as cringy as he is, it seems to me, when I'm surveying the landscape, boxing is not ready to let Deontay Wilder go. Whether it's not to let him go to keep criticizing him, whether it's not to let him go to keep championing him. Either way, he has the eyes and attention of the boxing world. And one thing that Deontay Wilder said that is true. He is one of, or if not the most, talked about boxer in boxing, whether negative or positive. Either way, it's attention. Any title attached with Deontay Wilder's name will automatically bring traffic, whether it's major media outlets or just some local YouTube channel. It seems that Deontay Wilder has injected himself into the boxing world, and now people just can't clear their symptoms of him. I think there's people who still want to see Deontay Wilder be victorious. There's definitely still people who wants to see Deontay Wilder beat again, and probably again, and probably again. Because this is something that people just can't seem to let go. Victory over Deontay Wilder seems to be not enough. They still want to torment and torture this man. Not to say that he haven't put himself in a position where he deserves it. Not to say that he hasn't tried to do the same thing to Anthony Joshua. It's just to say that he has interest behind his name, extremely similar to Floyd Mayweather. He will have people pay just to see him lose. Now, what does that mean for Deontay Wilder as far as the landscape of the heavyweight division? Since he's already taken back-to-back losses, will we see a more braver attempt in his opponent choices, or would they revert back to what originally got him in this position that he's in? Taking soft touches and people, basically, he has no business fighting at that level. But Deontay Wilder has never been at a level. Deontay Wilder has been in a class all by himself. Anybody from Gerald Washington to Luis Ortiz to even Bermane Stiverne have all outboxed Deontay Wilder. They were all more skilled than Deontay Wilder. Yet Deontay Wilder has been saved time and time and time again by that right hand. That right hand is both his savior and his Achilles heel. Now, we've seen with the training implements of Malik Scott that Deontay Wilder does have the capability of making some improvements, but he doesn't have a team or a corner that knows how to maximize or utilize Wilder like he really should. But when it comes to the heavyweight division, Deontay Wilder is very much still relevant. And I believe even the people who dislike Deontay Wilder are still eager to see him in another match. But then again, that's just my opinion. But the proof is in the pudding. Deontay Wilder has suffered a horrible defeat a second beatdown, and an ultimate knockout. Yet it seems like it did not satisfy the appetite of his detractors, because it definitely didn't satisfy the appetite of his supporters. So where we go from here, things will be more interesting, because the landscape in the heavyweight division can change like moving chairs at any time. And being that the division is so light in bodies, we need all the bodies that we can get to maximize the show, the grand show in the heavyweight division. Can Usyk beat Anthony Joshua again? Can Anthony Joshua beat Usyk? Can Tyson Fury beat Anthony Joshua? Can Usyk beat Tyson Fury? Can Deontay Wilder come in and reestablish himself? What does that mean for the new guys like Frank Sanchez? What does that mean for Dillian Whyte? Dillian Whyte is still a wild upset card that can come in here and dismantle any plans at any point in time. That's why he's been kept at bay, because he's known as a threat and he's not afraid to take a loss. So it's very interesting to see in the months and the years to come what exactly will happen. But me as a boxing fan, now that I have thought about it, I do want to see Deontay Wilder still play a role in this heavyweight equation. I want to see exactly where it ends. You can't be truly the best of your generation till you have fought everybody in your generation. And as of right now, Anthony Joshua seems to be the closest to that goal. Tyson Fury seems to be the man that they establish as being the best. Deontay Wilder seems to be somebody at the time that people have written off. Alexander Usyk appears to be the golden child. Dillian Whyte is like a unavenged wolf waiting to eat again, while we have other up-and-coming heavyweights hanging in the wings. So it's interesting to see where we will go from here, and only time will tell. Bruce Vane, I'm out.